So what do we got here? Box from Summit Racing Equipment. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. What I got was some fog lights for my truck. Hella brand fog lights, and they're amber. Now, it's kind of hard to, well, not hard, but a lot easier to find white fog lights than it is amber fog lights anymore. And that was a box. This is it out of it. They're halogen, comes with a cover that you can put over it. But there it is. This is the back of it. I was just kind of seeing how I was going to run wire loom into it and secure it. But yeah, I really like the amber lights better than what I'm thinking is going to be the white light for it. Because in amber, it's a lot easier to see in fog and snow. The yellow light, it doesn't reflect that white light off of the snow or fog. It's kind of visually penetrates it more than the white light, I think. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount them up in here. Now, there's I'm not sure what it is. If it's a clip, that's why I've got the truck up in the air. If it's a body clip or actual hole in there, but I was going to put it right up in there, the other one over here. Now I plan on getting some running lights also, so yeah, I'll probably put this here and maybe the running light over there. Not really sure, but I'll let you know what goes on. I've got to pull that clip out and see what it is, if it's a hole, and what's on the back side of it. Okay, there's those two fog lights installed on the front of the truck. Now, they haven't been adjusted. I just stuck them on there. The wiring hasn't been run yet or anything. What I did is ran the wiring out of the light itself, and I will put that shielded cable in there up to the lights, run the wiring inside that, I forgot what it's called, you know, that plastic shielding stuff. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of show that to you before I started doing the wiring. By the way, it was these plastic clips were in there that were holding that fairing or undercarriage spoiler, whatever you want to call it, on that black plastic fairing. I'll take you back over there and show it to you. So this plastic thing, it's held on by a bunch of those pins that actually go up through the bottom of the bumper. So I was just able to take that plastic clip out of there and put the fog lights in those holes for the plastic clips. And I saved those plastic clips intact in case for any reason I ever want to take these back up and put the clips back in. Okay, there's the fog lights without those stupid covers on. I still haven't wired them up yet, but what I was going to show you is I've got the switches wired up. I have the fuel transfer switch on the on position. It's wired so that it can the ignition doesn't have to be on when to transfer that. I've actually wired all of the lights so the ignition doesn't have to be on. In other words, now they're not connected up, but here's the fog light and there's the driving light. I've got that fuel on just so that I know that it transfers okay before I get into a haul and find out that there was an issue with it. So let me turn the ignition on and you'll see that the lights light up with the ignition. Now, because of the angle of the that part of the dashboard, it's kind of the only place I could get it into. You really can't read what they are, but I'll know what they are. The fuel is on my right hand side, fog is middle, and driving lights are left. But it's fine. Let me go hook the fog lights up and I'll show them to you. Okay, so it's actually the next day from when I told you that I was going to show you the fog lights on. I actually hooked them up yesterday, but I didn't film it. It's kind of hard to tell in the shop what they are. So I've actually got a piece of cardboard set up here. And what I'm going to do is try and readjust them, because this morning when I came into work, I turned them on and they look a little high to me. So here we are, fog lights off. Here we are, fog lights on with the shop lights on. And here we are with the shop lights off. Now let me just kind of walk around and I'll show you that cardboard that's sitting in front of it. And that is the cardboard sitting in front of it. And that's kind of where the beam is positioned right now. I'm not really sure. Again, like I told somebody, I've really got to drive in fog or snow to make sure that they're okay like that. What I was going to do was lower them a little bit. So probably what I'll do is I'll mark that cardboard and just lower them a little bit, lower the beam a little bit, not the light itself, the beam direction, lowered a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell in the shop because, again, my full floors are pitched, so I'm not sure that the truck is. I've tried to position it over the grating so that it's probably sitting close to what it would be sitting on the road. But again, I can't be exactly sure of that. So I'll position, I'm going to lower them a little bit. I can always raise them up. What I'll do is I'll just have a wrench. I think it's 13 millimeter that the adjusting bolt is. I'll just carry a 13 millimeter with me, and if I'm out on the road and think that they need to be adjusted better or further, I will just adjust them while I'm in a truck stop or something. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but what I've done is taken a Sharpie and just kind of marked the main top and bottom of the beam that's reflected on the cardboard. And what I'll do is I'll just turn them off and adjust it from there. Okay, so what I did, because there's no reference, you actually have to loosen a bolt to pivot the light. So what I did is I just laid a framing square on there and put it up against the light to see what the position of the light was in relationship to the framing square, so I knew if when I adjusted it, I had moved it, or how much I had moved it in reference to the framing square. Now what I did is only lowered or pivoted down the driver's side light, because that one in reference to the framing square was pretty square, whereas this one over here was tilted down a little more. So what I did, just lowered that right one. And again, I had to do it in reference to a framing square. As you know, headlights, you can adjust headlights just by leaving them on and pointing them at something at the wall and adjusting it through the screws, the adjusting screws that are kind of marked in there. You can do it while it's on, but in this case where you have to loosen a bolt and actually pivot the light, it's pretty hard to do that and keep it right. So I just use the framing square to reference it. What I'll do is I'll turn it on and just give you an idea of how much I lowered the driver's side one. And as you can see, the line was up there and now the light is down further. As I said, what I'll do is I'll just take it, carry a 13 millimeter with me and kind of see what it's done for it. But there it is, they're done. Just a couple of last points on these fog lights, and it's enough for this topic. I don't know whether I had mentioned it before. You saw that in the when I showed you the switches that there's a driving light switch there too. I ran the wire out to this area for the driving lights. Now what I plan on doing is getting LED kind of focus beams for the driving lights and skim them along the surface of the road, the beam out along the road, so that it doesn't blind oncoming drivers. The LED light doesn't blind oncoming drivers, but it projects a beam along the road out farther from the truck. The reason why I didn't get LED amber lights is because I've been told that the LED amber actually turns the light greenish, and I really wanted that amber light because I personally think that the amber light is much better to see in fog and snow. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, snow, if you live in a place where it snows or you get blizzards a lot, when you're driving in a heavy snowstorm with regular conventional lights, what happens is your brain, or you kind of focus on the snow coming into the lights instead of the road. That snow coming into the lights, the white light up above kind of focuses, makes your brain focus on that instead of the road, and it becomes disorienting. And the lower lights being amber kind of takes that focus out of it. You'll actually, when you're driving with regular conventional lights, see snowflakes, focus on the snowflakes coming into the light. The amber being lower doesn't do that focus thing of actually picking up snowflakes coming into the white lights. But anyways, driving lights will be installed along it. Okay, I'm in my shop, and this is a generator that I went down to Philadelphia for. To put in the back of my pickup truck, bring it back, put it on the trailer, take it out to Minnesota. Now, this was a total fiasco. To begin with, I get down there and the place isn't open. I call the guy up and he says, "Oh, we're not open on Saturday." Oh, I must have forgot that today I told him to send you down and I forgot it was Saturday. So I get down there, the place isn't open. He says, "Let me call you right back. I think I've got a guy that lives pretty close to there. He can he's got a key, he can come over and let you in." I go over, he comes and he opens the gate up, and I drive in, and he locks the gate back up again. And I stop the truck, and he walks up and he says, you know, I don't even work for this company. I'm just a friend of the owner's. So what are you looking for? And I told him about the generator. He says, well, he gets on the phone, he calls somebody. He says it's way down in that garage. We've got to move all them excavators out of the way to get down there to get it. So he starts moving the excavators. I go down there, and I'm looking in this garage, and I don't see a generator like I brought back before. And hopefully I still got a picture of that generator on the trailer from before, and if I do, I'll put it over there. Okay, I'm in the shop here, and this is a generator that I went down to south of Philadelphia yesterday and picked up. Now, I didn't take the trailer, and after getting there, it's a good thing that I didn't take the trailer. I kind of figured that, I'll explain where it's going in a minute, but I kind of figured that I would. Well, he comes in, I says, man, I don't see it. And he says, he walks in and he says, it's this one. And I says, are you kidding me? This is nothing like the generator. Does the guy know? And he says, I don't know. He says, I don't work here. So I call up John. We measured this kind of first. I didn't have a tape measure with me in the garage, so we kind of stepped it off. And it's 5 feet by 5 feet. And I says, the wheel wells on my truck are only 4 feet, just a little over 4 feet apart. It's never going to fit in there. And he says, well, where'd you come from? You got a trailer? And I says, yeah, I got a trailer. Where'd you come from? Buffalo. Buffalo, he says. You came from fucking Buffalo? And I says, yeah, I came from Buffalo. I says, it was supposed to be the same generator that I picked up before, and the other generator was only 3 feet wide, probably about 4 feet tall and 6 feet long. And he says, I don't know. Again, I don't work here. So I call up the guy that bought it, this John guy, and he says, well, is there anything you can do? Can you get it in your truck? And I says, I don't think so. So he was kind of pissed. He was kind of pissed at the situation. He says, you didn't bring your trailer with you? And I says, no, John, you knew that I didn't bring the trailer with me. We talked about going and picking it up in the back of my truck, and man, he was just upset and grasping at straws. But anyways, let me tell you what we did. Actually, this guy, the guy that came up with this idea, what we did is grabbed a couple of skids and put them in there between the wheel wells, and then we're able to set the generator unit on top of the wheel wells, or on top of the skids, and it got it proud above the wheel wells, so it fit in there, and it just fit in there. But it fit in there. It's actually, this was the back, and that was up against my fuel tank. But anyways, so that's what we had. Yeah, that's what it was. So, again, I'll try and show you the picture. Tomorrow I've got to load this on the trailer and take it out to Minnesota. Then he's taking this one off. I should note that there was a fiasco, and I don't think I've ever told you guys about that original generator that I took out. And again, if I have a picture of that generator on my trailer, I'm not sure if I still have it, I will put it over there. But that original generator was supposed to be a 40 kW generator. He got it, he took it off, he paid me, I left, and about a week later he calls me up and he says, "Man, you know that generator you picked up in Philadelphia?" And I says, "Yeah." And I says, "I know it runs, so don't tell me it doesn't run, because I started it, and I actually started it on the trailer in front of you." He says, "No, it's not that it doesn't run." He says, "It was supposed to be a 40 kW, and when I started going through it, it's only a 20 kW. So to make up for that problem, because he had already paid the guy for a 40 kW generator, he actually gave him this generator. So the only cost involved in it is my cost to ship it from Philadelphia to Minnesota." But anyways, I'm going to Minnesota, dropping this off, picking up 3 other generators, take them to Colorado, then going to the state of Washington and pick up a couple of dyno units. But more that'll be explained in another video. Okay, just a little video. On Route 80, southwest of Chicago, headed towards Des Moines, Iowa. Then I'll cut up to Minnesota. I think it's cut up in Iowa City, but I'm not really sure. I've got that small generator on that I had problems getting out of Philadelphia. Well, I didn't have problems getting it out. I had problems loading it, and if it was the correct generator. But you really probably can't see it, especially in the rear view mirror on the passenger side. I'll show you. It's about 4:18 Eastern time. It's actually 3:18 Central time here. And I've got like 436 miles to go to get to Truman, Minnesota. I'll show that you can probably see that generator a little bit, just a fuel tank sticking up in the rear view mirror there. But I'll bring you back. It's been uneventful. It stayed about the same temperature all the way since I left Buffalo, about 35 degrees. And so I'll see what happens. Headed towards Minnesota, drop off this generator, pick up 3, possibly 4 more, going to Colorado, drop them off, and then headed to Washington to pick up the dynos for Brian Block. I'll bring you back when something eventful happens. I'm just going to give you a little shot of this. Minnesota. This is a Route 15. It goes between Route 90 and it goes up to Truman, where I'm going to. Truman, Minnesota. I just thought I'd show it to you. Cornfields. I've passed a bunch of ethanol plants. Kind of wondering what they did with all the corn before ethanol plants. But anyways, here it is. Okay, originally I was supposed to take those generators, or that generator from Philadelphia, and be in Truman at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, as you can see from this last clip, it's a lot later than 7 o'clock because it's light out. He called me the night before and says, "Well, one of the generators isn't done. I ran out of propane for the forklift and stuff like that, and I can't have it done until around 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. Can you show up a little later than 7? So that's exactly what I did. I showed up around 9 o'clock in the morning when he told me that it would be done, and it wasn't done. And needless to say, I actually helped him and another guy, his mechanic, try to finish it. and never got out of there until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the next clip is going to be I unloaded that Philly generator and then picked up them 3 generators that are going to Colorado, and you're going to see those 3 generators on the trailer in the next. Okay, I'm just showing you a brief shot of this. This is those, this is those generators that I'm taking to Colorado. I just had to lash it down more and get everything positioned. But here we are. I'm not sure if we're in South Dakota yet or we're still on the edge of Minnesota. But I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm in Wyoming on Route 80, headed towards Washington, and we got some wind. I'm not really sure if it's snowing or it's just blowing the snow that's already on the ground, but we got some wind. There was a thing that said it gusts up to 65 miles an hour here. We're getting some black ice in places. It's like 21 degrees right now. They've got a warning out for light, high-profile trucks. The road is closed to light, high-profile trucks. The first mountain I came to, it was pretty bad. It was, the roads were really kind of icy going up it. You know, like black ice type of situation. Made it okay. I didn't know what I was getting into, you know what I mean? So I've got no internet service, so I can't stop and figure out what's going on here. It looks just like, to me, like blowing snow now. So as long as it's just that, I think once I get to the other side of the mountains, I should be okay. But we'll see. Only time will tell. I'll keep you posted. Okay, I'm on Route 80, headed in towards Utah. I'm about 122 miles where 80 joins 84, and I will take 84 north. But the sky is starting to clear up a little bit. Still them strong winds. Really high winds. As a matter of fact, that sign just was warning about it. 50 miles an hour plus. And it's a headwind. I'm not really getting great fuel mileage here. Hopefully we have the same winds on the return trip, and it'll blow me back to Kentucky, because that's where I'm going. I'm picking this stuff up in Washington, going back to Kentucky. But anyways, little landscape here in Wyoming, headed towards Utah. Right there's a sign, Salt Lake City, straight ahead. Okay, I'm up on this mountain range. I don't even know what the name of this mountain range is. If I figure it out, I'll insert it or insert it down below. This is an old dyno unit. It's going to Brian Block down in Kentucky. Of course, that's a console. Logically, that's a small dyno unit, and that's a large one. Picked it up in Washington and taken it out. I gotta tell you, I'm up in the mountains. It's like 38 degrees up here. It's been raining, but if it was snow, this thing would be terrible. It is so steep. I'll bring you back. Okay, I didn't film any more of that. I took those units that were on my trailer up on the mountains, the Blue Mountains of Oregon, and I took it back to Brian Block down in Kentucky. One little side note, going back on 80, I thought I was golden. I got onto 80 between Ogden and Salt Lake City, and I was golden for probably the first 120 miles, and then the weather just collapsed. Again, the wind, iced roads. It was like 10 miles an hour most of the way, and a lot of truckers were pulling off and just gonna wait it out until it stopped blowing. I continued on through, but it took me 10 hours to get halfway across that down to down off of the mountains in just north of Colorado and back on 80 in some better weather. I didn't film any of the delivery to Brian. We did it at his work, and he's going to be posting all about this thing on YouTube, so give him a look. Check it out. I'll put the link to his YouTube channel down below in a comment, and not in a comment, down below in the video. But anyways, check him out. Anyways, that's it. Going to be it for this shop update. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe.